Hello, how are you? Galatians chapter 4, verse 1 to 5 says, "What I'm saying is that as long as an heir is underage, he is not different from a slave, although he owns the whole estate. The heir is subject to guardians and trustees until the time set by his father. So also, when we were underage, we were in slavery under the elemental spiritual forces of the world." Verse 4 and 5 is where I'm heading. Bible says, but when the set time had fully come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship. I was coming to verse 4 and 5, but I started from verse 1 so that you'd understand what Paul is talking about in the book of Galatians chapter 4. Let me just take verse 4 again. It says, "But when the set time had fully come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship." It is crazy, or not crazy at all, that for man to have, received redemption from the law, for man to have found salvation from the law, then someone had to become law so that we would be saved from law. So Jesus Christ had to be born of a woman into the world under the law, and then to be able to redeem us from being under the law. Bible says that he is familiar with our weaknesses. The only way Jesus Christ is familiar with our weaknesses is because he lived our life and walked our journey. And so he understands exactly where we are so that he is able to redeem us from that thing. The only way we are able to advise anybody or counsel or talk with anybody going through something in a manner that will transform their lives is only when we completely understand what they are going through. That means that you cannot advise what you do not understand. You cannot help anybody out of a situation that you have no idea about. For example, if someone lost their child, a person who is better placed to comfort someone who has lost a child is someone else who has been through that same journey. Sometimes it takes someone to go through something to be able to talk about it or advise or counsel or encourage, because they understand the exact pain that that person is going through. I came up here today just to encourage you that there could be things, or just to give you a perspective of the thing that you could be going through right now or trying to handle, and relying on God for it. There God is very intentional in the things that He allows us to go through. And if we could change our perspective about the tribulation, the trials, the challenges that we have to face in life, then we could get the most out of them all. For instance, if you understand about your situation, that God is preparing you to be able to lead, to be able to speak, to be able to teach, to advise, to counsel people going through some things, then He first of all has to take you through that very thing. He first of all has to take you through that very thing. So sometimes your predicament, sometimes your challenge, sometimes your tribulation is not just actually for you alone. Probably God is preparing you to be able to help other people who are coming up behind you, who might face the same things that you are facing today. So actually, God is preparing you. Actually, God is sending you into the situation for the sake of somebody else. Somebody else is coming up behind you that is going to need someone who has experienced the same thing, someone who can match the experience with what the Word of God says, so much so that it produces results in their lives. And so I just want to encourage you that all things work together for the good of those that love God and are called according to His purpose. So if your situation is ugly and bad, unlikable, uncomfortable, you can trust God with it. When you give it back to God, when you surrender it back to God, He can actually turn it to something very useful, not just for you, but for your children, not just for you, but for your community. So if you're going through something today, God could just be preparing you to be able to lead in that area, to be able to guide in that area, to be able to teach in that area, to be able to pastor in that area, to be able to comfort in that area, to be able to instruct in that area. You cannot master instruction. You might not master teaching. You might not master pastoral duties if he does not take you through that thing. So this is an encouragement. It's not just you. It's also for the people that are coming up behind you. And guess what? You have the grace of God to take you through anything that he leads you into. God bless you.